Today we're going to talk about your final exam portfolio, and I just want to make sure that you realize the importance of having this portfolio on your scheduled final exam day. So here, a little bit of good information for you to remember. First of all, make sure that you've converted all of your images to JPEG. So we're going to check that off of our list really quick. What we're going to do to convert to JPEG, I've shown some of you this, but not all of you. This is super simple, but it's super specific. So when you convert to JPEG, I want you to File, Save As. So when you have that picture open that you would like to add to your portfolio, you're going to Save As, and instead of clicking Yes or Done or Save, at this stage, we're going to go to the Save As type. We've got to change that to a JPEG. Right here, it's very important that you get this specific JPEG. We don't want the JPEG 2000. We don't want JPEG stereo. We want just JPEG. Plain and simple. You could rename it if you want, but choose where that's going and then hit the Save button. Okay? So that will be a super important feature because you cannot insert a Photoshop document into any kind of PowerPoint or Keynote. Coming to that, that's my second point. You may use PowerPoint if you're working on this on a computer. You can use Keynote if you're working with this on your iPad. So both are viable options. I do want to make sure that you realize, however, that if you do PowerPoint on PC, these laptops can't go home with you. So you need to make sure that you can devote enough time here or bring a flash drive with you or put it on your Google Drive to then open it up back and forth. I do get tragedies every so often with students coming in. I swear I worked on it, the file's not there. You have to make sure that you are safeguarding that by saving it in multiple locations. I mean multiple locations. Put it on 2 flash drives. Put it on your Google Drive. You have 3 different places that you have it saved there. Email it to yourself. Save it as a PDF so that it's a very small file format. When it comes time to maybe emailing it, that maybe that's exactly what your email can handle. But at least you can show the product of your work. We need to be able to see that, okay? If you have another idea, I've had students that have proposed in the past things like, hey, can I make a little movie? As long as it has the same content, I'm going to entertain it on a sort of student-by-student basis. So come and see me. Just make sure that you do come and see me. Presentation is due on your scheduled final exam day. You may not drop it off earlier, so you don't have to come in. It is due on your scheduled final exam day. Okay? You will present the portfolio in class for a portion of your grade. It will be shown up front. We'll look through it because some of these photographs that you're putting in there are going to be fresh and brand new. Okay? So the format will look like this. You've got your first starting slide. Again, Keynote or PowerPoint. Digital Photography Portfolio, Semester 1. Actually, maybe I should put Semester 1, 2017-18. And then your first and last name. Okay? From there, we're going to move on, and you're going to have 5 of these slides. Okay? So these 5 slides are going to be based on this format. Now, if that means your picture is on this side and the information's over here, or your picture's down here, the information's above, perfectly fine with that. You can change the way that it's laid out, but the content must remain the same. I have a list of compositional rules that I will be sending your way. I'll be putting them in the P drive. I will also make it a PDF and airdrop it to you. I can try to do the same with this so you can see a format, but at least it'll be in the teacher handouts for you. You will have a compositional rule name. So if this one is the rule of thirds, that's what you're going to put here. Okay? Right here it says, how does this picture follow this compositional rule? Be specific to your picture and how you shot it. Read the description for the rule and tell me how it applies to your picture. I want specifics. I don't want generic, and I do not want copy and paste. Do not go find a definition and simply copy and paste it in there. It needs to be specific to your photograph. We will see this slide 5 times. It's the same exact format. Here's the next slide. You can't even tell it's changing, but there's another slide there. Okay? The next slide, the next slide, the next slide, and then we're at the end. Now, looking at our compositional tips, This is where we are right here. These you will be receiving. I have 9 of them on this handout. We've talked about pretty much all of them when we started looking at what makes a good or a poor photograph. Okay, a lot of your photographs can be adapted to these when you really look at them. So the first one is fill the frame and cropping. Talking about watching out for losing the great visual impact of your image. Like this image of this peacock would not be the same if it included a background. There's something really cool because it's almost like the feathers are all pointing at that particular peacock's body. It looks really cool. And again, it gives you a definition in here. Take the time to read it and absorb it. Apply it to some of the photographs you've taken. Or, right here, don't cut off the limbs. Hey, let's take that and maybe take a fresh photo. So maybe you're just like, oh, I don't know if I really have anything for that, but I could photograph, my friend later. Do it. Okay, so 2 is don't cut off the limbs. You want to watch out, making sure that the part that's most important is engaged in your photograph. Here, of course, his legs are cut off, but are those legs a vital part of this photograph? The answer is definitely no. Okay, so looking at what's going to be important. Here it said cutting off your cat's tail or your dog's ears or part of a head. Those parts are probably vital to that photograph. Understanding the rule of thirds. This is probably one of the most basic compositional rules in photography. And simply, if you put that little tic-tac-toe or hashtag bar over your photograph, finding that some of your important things are lying on some of those third marks. Okay? Moving on into using natural frames. You're using framing, like these really cool parts of this bridge that almost draw your eyes inside. It kind of pulls you through. And that's what a natural frame will do. Making the most of leading lines and shapes. You've got things that are drawn in here. Again, we explained it, but you can see you've got that great blur that leads everything to looking. I would also say that this peacock would be great for leading lines and shapes too, but don't reuse any of your photographs. They should be 5 specifically different photographs. Even if it applies to multiple, pick the one that you feel it applies to the best. Leading lines here, like I said, these are like arrows pointing right at that peacock's body. Okay? Moving on to simplify and know your focus. This, we talked about that shallow depth of field where you're blurring out that background to bring that beauty and that emphasis to that particular subject. Whatever your focal point is, how can you highlight it without it looking too busy? 7, watch your background. Again, we're looking at blurring out some things in the background. I explained an example of like how in Willy Wonka, when you have that, when you have the reporter in Germany, it looks like he's got the antlers on the back of his head because of how he's standing. Those are all things of watching your background. A lot of these you will find is all in explaining it. So that explanation is important. You could put any picture there and describe how you really paid attention to making sure that background did not take away from your photograph or enhanced your photograph. Okay? Looking for symmetry and patterns. We did some shooting with reflections and such. Look at that beautiful reflection in the water of these rock structures. Those are all really cool ways to show pattern. The peacock's feathers, let me go back there again. That's how it can apply to multiple photographs. That's an example of pattern. All you need to be able to do is tell me how you found that to be an example of looking for symmetry and patterns. Okay? Again, please read. I give it to you. It's not like it's like a novel. You can do it. Creating depth. Now, we've blurred out selected areas, but man, what if we have a really long shot with everything in focus? We go to a very high or a higher aperture number, a higher f number, in order to get this in focus, and that in focus. A nice long shot is going to be a really important one that adds depth. This is a very long distance in here. You can feel it by these size relationships as well. Okay, so that is number 9. You will pick, once again, let me get back to the top. Sorry. You will pick 5 of those 9. Totally up to you which of those 5 which 5 of the 9 you pick, but they should be all different. They should not be repeated, so don't give me rule of thirds 5 times. I need to see 5. I should change that. 5 different, or cisprint, whatever. All right, there we go. So we're going to make sure that you have 5 different so that you are positive you can show me your photographic skill. You can show me how it applies to composition as well as light editing. So that editing can take place, whether that editing takes place on your iPad, on your phone, or on your computer. Obviously, we have to be a little bit more flexible because some of you will be working on this outside of school. So again, it's really important that you do remember that you will need, when you turn it in, you're going to have your starting slide. So that's number 1. Then you're going to have 5 additional slides over here. That will be 6 slides minimum. Okay, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Mine says 7 only because I have this little good information bar. Okay, so other than that, as questions arise, please come and see me. A reminder that you should be working on this both in and out of class and managing your time wisely. That I definitely recommend that you don't sit here and work on something else when you're given time for this, simply because I want you to be successful, okay? I want you to go out and seek those photographs, pick the best compositional tips for yourselves, and really give a beautiful portfolio. And that is it.